What's good talking to you, family? We appreciate y'all joining us this morning.
Morning, talking tea. Happy Friday to you all, and blessings to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you coming through just for a moment of your time. We got something good for you today.
We most
We
def-
really do.
we most definitely do. And this our religious show today. So we're gonna have to
hmm
go and get this thing kicked off the right way. And we gonna open this thing up just as if we would to be in church. And we gonna start this thing off with a hymn of preparation. And if all of y'all at home and y'all know this hymn, it's a very familiar hymn. It's called Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior. All right? Y'all ready for this? Mo, you ready? You tighten up your vocals?
Yeah, ready as I'm ever going to be is all I can say. I'm not a singer. Let me just put that disclosure out for everybody. So do not come for me in the comments about what Mo sounds like when he sings, okay?
Girl, you singing
Okay.
for the Lord. Don't worry about it. You're singing for
He's
the
not
Lord.
judging. That's all that matters.
All
He's
right.
not judging me, so y'all better not either.
You're singing for the most high. So don't worry about it. All right, y'all. We're gonna kick this thing out with Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior, and we just gonna go on with it from there. All right, y'all ready? All right, everybody at home, if y'all know this, y'all make sure y'all sing along with us. All right. All right, Mo. Here we go. One, two, three. Pass me not, O
And
gentle
so
Savior,
say, hey,
hear my humble cry. Come on, Mo. The wise on the side are calling,
what?
saying,
Do
"Do not
not pass.
pass me by." And the whole parishioners in the congregation said, "I'm calling you, Savior, oh, Savior, hear
Yeah,
my
my
humble
will cry.
cry." I'm gonna leave it right there, Mo. How y'all doing this morning? Talking to you. We gonna get it on in today. We gonna get it on in today. God
Thank
bless
you.
him more with a fanning. The church is hot. The fans is blowing. Y'all know how we used to do it in the old church. We used to hit a foot stomp, hit a foot stomp. Y'all know how we used to do it. You know what I mean? All we need is a and I heard him say. Y'all know how this go. It's all good up in here. Mo, how you doing this morning, sister?
Jesus, Lord.
Oh Lord have mercy. God bless it. God bless you all, man. Hey man, we just sitting up here, man, and we gonna definitely have a whole lot of fun today, man. And I know people don't think that religion is a fun topic. But it's very much so a very fun topic if people love God like they say they do. This shouldn't be a hard situation to cover, right? So,
Right.
with that being said, we definitely going to, ask God for his prayers and his mercy and his grace, you know what I'm saying, to let us speak fluently and let us flow in his grace and his mercy. As we do have a young guest with us today, and we do have a special guest coming later on in the show today.
Mhm.
So, with
Yes.
that being said, man, we asking God to crown their head with wisdom and knowledge and give them the light so it could so shine for the people and for the world and most so shine for God. All right. So that's how we gonna start this thing out. Mo, I know you got some facts. I know you got some talk for us. You know what I mean? Come on, break that thing down to us with this generation.
I do, and as I do in private, I always pray before I go on the show. So I'm glad that you got that kind of out the way, even though I did mine privately. I do want him to come into, this aura today, this show, and touch us and bless us and continue to allow us to grow as a company, as a YouTube station, just in general. So, in my research, I found some interesting facts about all the generations. But when I was doing the research, I didn't feel like I was totally connected to what was being said. I didn't feel like I fit into all of those categories, so to speak. And honestly, I felt like this was not research, or this article was not reflective of the African American generation. Let me just say that. I don't think they were polled in this. The reason I say that is because they speak primarily about Protestants, Jewish, and like another Catholic. Not that blacks aren't Catholic, but I just think what they're saying about it, I didn't necessarily agree with, but I'm going to give you the information anyway, and then we'll talk about it.
All right.
Okay. So let me put my notes up here so you all can, so I can read them because it's not off memory. So as a reminder, Generation X from 1965 to 1980. Okay. And as it's been said before, that this generation is often branded as the rules rejecting, authority questioning group. And new research has revealed that Generation Xers are loyal to their faith. And they said surprisingly loyal to their faith. I don't find it that surprising. Reason being that I grew up with my grandparents and they were very religious. Like religion was the foundation in my household growing up. Now I was raised by a baby boom, not a baby boom, I'm sorry, a silent generation. My grandparents raised me. So everything was be Christ like, do unto others as you want them done to you. You know, don't steal, don't kill, don't lie, honor your parents. All of those things were embedded in me, you know, as a child. So it also says that the loyalty translate into a stable religious, I guess, nation, that we're trying to keep the nation stable when it comes to religion. And many baby boomers, as my parents, if they did raise me, and they're baby boomers because they're teens of the 60s and that sort of, probably yours as well, they raised their Generation X children in a non-religious environment because of the 1960s effect. And this is where I disagree. I don't know if you are with me on this or not, but it says that many baby boomers raised their Generation X children in a non-religious environment because of the 1960s effect. I don't necessarily seem that to be true. What do you think?
Well, I think in our generation, I mean, we don't force religion on our children. I mean, we try to enforce to let them know that there's a higher power. I mean, I don't think my generation, I don't think our generation really, we don't go to church like our parents. Uh, our parents went religiously. You know what I mean? I mean, when I was a kid, man, I could be at church Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day. I could be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Vacation Bible school and all of those things. When I came up, I mean, I don't really. I mean, maybe because I'm not on the church scene like that as much now, and as I was as a kid. You know, but
So you
I
disagree as well. You weren't
yeah,
raised in a non-religious environment. That didn't affect you and how your parents raised you, because your parents are baby boomers,
right.
as mine are, but they didn't raise me. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I disagree, because I don't think we were raised in non-religious environments. Now, I don't know who they surveyed for this article or who they're talking about, but I do know the teens of the 60s and that era, they were very bold. They were outspoken. They protested a lot. They saw injustices and things of that sort. So they weren't very conforming to, I guess, a certain religion. And they taught that to us, the Generation X kid, is what the article's saying. But I disagree.
Yeah, like I said, I don't. Nah, I mean because like I say, our parents, uh, we went to church so much that I think that's probably why we don't force our children to go to church as much. You know what I mean? But nah, I disagree with that article. Like, nah, man, look here, bro. You know, we was brought up in the age where they live by the Bible, spare the rod, spoil the child, all the things they could do to, you know what I'm saying, get on your case about. So they really depended on God and our discipline. and our upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So now I don't know where that
Do
article
you
came
think?
from, but they need to go do some more research on that one.
I agree. Ask more people, people of color especially.
Exactly.
Um, so I was going to ask you, do you feel that you being forced to go to church like made you a better person? Did it bring you closer to religion, or it kind of steered you away? Like, how did it form you? How did it make you who you are?
Well,
Your upbringing.
with me personally, I just think that how religion shaped me. It put it like this: as a child, you like, oh man, I'd rather sit here and play my Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I don't want to do all that. But I mean, if once I started to listen, and stop going to church and I was playing and I actually start listening, and it's kind of hard for me not to listen because I had uncles that was pastors, so they looking out in the congregation, what I'm saying, they waiting to see you act up. So it's like
So that's why you sounded like a pastor in the intro song. It makes sense now. Okay, go on. It makes sense. Okay. It's all coming together. It's all
yeah,
coming together.
yeah, I've been in the church all my life, but all of my
Mhm.
young life. But it's like now, I look on how it shaped me. It shaped me to be humble. It shaped me to, I mean, even as a child, man, it's like I never had a problem with helping people. You know what I mean? Like, even in my adult life, even to this very day, I mean, we are sitting here at 44 million ENT based upon, what I'm saying, my belief in helping people. So I do think that me going to church and learning about God, and as I get older, I'm learning who God is. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing when you learn about God, but it's even more beautiful when you find out who God really is. So yes, I do think that going to church as a child, it shaped my my being. It shaped my present. It shaped me to be the person I am right now. You know what I mean?
Okay. That makes sense. I understand that completely.
Mm-hmm.
So let me finish with the rest of it.
All
And
right.
it also says that Generation X has more choices. If they aren't happy with a particular religion, they can find a substitute to maintain their religious connection instead of falling off entirely.
Mm-hmm.
See, that comes into the loyalty to the faith part. You
Mm-hmm.
want to keep that connection to faith and not just fall off entirely. Okay, well, what else can I do? Well, where else can I find my faith? Can I find religion? Maybe not in this particular denomination,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe you were used to. So I kind of like that aspect of it, and I kind of can respect it. This part of the research, this bullet point that I made,
Mm-hmm.
because I do have friends of mine who are Generation X as well, and we grew up, very Baptist,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them deviated and went to Catholic. Some of them went to Seventh Day Adventist. Some of them went to Protestant. Like they ventured off into something that was different from their childhood foundation because I guess they weren't particularly happy or satisfied or spirit filled, as we say sometimes. They weren't getting the word that they
Mm-hmm.
needed,
Mm-hmm.
but they had just stayed faithful because that's all they knew.
Right, and that's
But
what
as
they
they
call it.
became adults, they
Yeah.
found, hey, there's other options out there. I want the religion in my life. I just don't necessarily like all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I
Did you ever,
mean,
did you ever feel a need to steer off and maybe venture out into a different religion of which you were taught?
uh, me personally, I mean, I've definitely went away from, I mean, the Baptist traditions of
Mm-hmm.
how I was raised. Of course, I've grew as a human being. I've grew as a person. I've read the main book. I guess you would say the Holy Bible, and I've learned how to read it, a little Hebrew, so I could study the Bible. If you don't understand some of those words in the Bible, and maybe that's why it's hard for people to read the Bible because it's written in "thus though thou saith." You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
coming up in the Baptist religion, it was a whole lot of rituals. You know what I mean? It was rituals, communion, drink this blood of me in remembrance of me, eat this in remembrance of me, that type of stuff. I grew up all up in that type of stuff. So,
Me
um,
too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've ventured off away from the rituals, because I did read in the Bible where it said religion is a superstition, and you can't put superstitions on God. God is it. He is who He is. The omnipotent one, and I use He because He is a pronoun. It's just describing. He's both masculine and feminine. So I don't want my sisters out here to just think that I'm just saying He. Why do we got to be a He? No, I'm just
Mhm.
saying it's natural for me to say He. So I do understand that God is both masculine and feminine, because you do have man and woman here on earth. So I do um, understand the essence of God, but all of the rituals and all of that, how they come stuff. Nah, man, I don't rock like that no more.
Okay. Well, it's funny you say that because my next point was that many Generation Xers are still traditional in their religious beliefs and practices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you just said that you weren't, so you're probably one of few who don't fit into this category.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that because I've had the foundation as a child, I go to those beliefs and practices that are traditional because it's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't steer off and veer off too much from the traditions and the practices because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was taught. And I actually teach my children the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say something you mentioned about, I forgot my point. It doesn't matter. It may come to me later. I forgot my point. I didn't want to cut you off when you were like kind of on a roll. You
Mm-hmm.
were talking and speaking your mind. But I find all of that to be very interesting. Some of it I agree with, some of it I didn't, as I said before. And this came from the Phys.org article on Generation X and how they view religion. It wasn't a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
but we talked about, what there was to
Yeah.
say
I
about it.
mean, just from a standpoint of like when we think about traditional church, right? It's like,
Mhm.
to me,
Like that
yeah,
hymn we sung.
the hymn of preparations, and I mean the altar call and all of this
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, that's beautiful if it's done in the essence of in which it was meant to be. That's beautiful. I'm not knocking that, but it's like I'm not saying all, I'm not saying some, I'm not saying few, but we do know that there is a hypocrisy inside of the church. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times it starts at the head with me, because I look at stuff like this. My uncles and stuff, they work 9 to 5s, and they had a job, this, that, and the third, you know what I'm saying, for the most
Right.
part, right? And but they also believe that, you know what I'm saying, when they were in that Bible, that they were laboring for God also, right?
Right.
The thing where I disconnect from the actual building. I never
Hmm.
disconnect from the church, because I know the people are the church. You understand what I'm saying? So I
Right.
won't
I do.
ever disconnect from the church. But the building itself, I have disconnected from the building. But see,
Hmm.
because the building has turned into a show. You understand me?
Hmm.
If I
It
walk in the
sounds,
church house,
especially the generation. That's kind of how they feel. The young generation feels disconnected
it's
from
a
the church,
show.
the building, the building.
It's not real. And it's the thing about it to me, Mo, is, see, my disconnect started to come when I probably started hit about 20, maybe like 23, 24. When
Hmm.
I when I walked in the church, right? And I seen there was an ATM machine at the front door. I said, "No, this
You saw ATM machine in church
at the front door."
at the front door.
Yeah, right there in the
ATM
foyer.
machine
In the
in the
foyer.
front.
In the foyer. You know when you walk through the big glass doors in
I
the,
understand. Yes,
yeah, in the
I know what the
foyer.
foyer is. Yes, that's crazy.
And I knew right then. I said, "Man, what the what? What?" And then when I see, I'm not gonna name names. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Because
don't name
God said not to touch thou anointed. He didn't say we couldn't talk about these Negroes, but he said don't touch them. So,
Okay.
okay. So I ain't gonna say their names. But when I see pastors flying around in jets, and you got people in your congregation that can't pay their light bill, I got a problem with that.
I think
When
a
I
lot of
see,
parishioners pastors do. I think a lot of people, they put people in general, religious people, they put the pastors on this pedestal and this hierarchy as if they can do no wrong, and they live off the labor of their parishioners, of the congregation. They encourage you to pay your tithes. Okay, but paying my tithes should go towards the building. It should be dispersed back into the community or the church people,
All right.
not you buying a jet or not you and your wife having, the newest, nicest stuff. That's nice to have good, nice things. Okay, that's okay to have nice things. So I totally agree with you in that aspect.
Yeah.
I don't think they should live like they're rich, while everyone else in the congregation, some may be suffering or going through something or need some help financially because they're given all that they can give, and now they needs to be reciprocated.
Right.
You give to the church, and it should be able to give to you as well. That's
Mm-hmm.
the part that's missing. And I'll get into that when I talk about Generation Z a little bit, is that's where people disconnect all the time.
Yep.
And myself, I disconnected from the church as well. I mean, I was Catholic Monday through Friday because I was a church girl. I mean, I was a Catholic school girl,
Mm-hmm.
but I was Baptist on Sundays. So I practiced both religions,
Mm-hmm.
as you can imagine. Like I said, I was Catholic Monday through Friday. I had Lent, and we had Ash Wednesday, and I went to Mass, and I was blessed, and the whole nine. Wore uniforms to school, had nuns as teachers, the priests, they lived in the rectory. I mean, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was my life Monday through Friday. But come Sunday morning, I was going to the Baptist church with my family.
Right.
So I knew all of those practices as well. But that was my foundation of how I was supposed to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds contradictory in a sense, but there's still religion around me 6 days a week.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so with that, as I got older, I had a good foundation. I loved the Lord. I actually enjoyed going to church. I love a good choir. I
Mm-hmm.
love a good word. But my childhood church, the pastor, he used to hoop and holler, and he had this mumble about him and this like stutter that I never understood what he said. Now,
Right.
I don't know
Right.
how any of these other people who couldn't see in one eye and was deaf in one ear understood him at all,
It was called
but
a hoop, Mo. It's called a hoop.
they he was a hooper and a hollerer.
Yeah.
So the other parts of the church I enjoyed, but that hooping and hollering I did not. So when I became an adult and decided to find my own church home,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a church where I can be taught, that I actually could learn about the Bible, because I hadn't learned really about the Bible thus far. I
Mm-hmm.
knew bits and pieces of it. It was taught to me. You handpick certain verses to say, or certain commandments you pick out to tell your children and teach them about. But I didn't know about certain lessons in the Bible and how to apply it to my life until
Mm-hmm.
I became an adult. So I found a church that could give me both the spiritual word and the social fellowship aspect of it all in one. It was great.
Oh yeah.
Then I came a time where I just kind of fell back. It was weird. Just for whatever was going on in my life, I didn't feel the connect.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting too big. The church was getting too big. We had too many different locations,
Right.
and he was like this bishop and this hierarchy, and it kind of got a little arrogant, the pastor, and so I didn't like what I was seeing,
Right.
and that discernment disconnected me from the church,
Right.
as you were saying,
From the building.
from the building itself.
Right.
Yes, the
From the
church
building.
building.
Right.
For the
You.
Christian, yes,
Yeah.
it disconnected from the church building,
Yeah.
and fast forward, this pandemic hasn't helped. I had just started to go to church again to find my roots when I moved here. When the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic hit,
Right.
I was just getting my foot, like, okay, let me plant my roots. Let me find my church home. And I was church hopping, as they call it, when you're trying to find a
Yeah.
place where you feel like you fit in.
Right.
So you visit multiple churches.
Mm-hmm.
Thing hit, and it kind of threw off my whole church finding venture.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
I
I'm
mean, you said
in.
you said a very interesting point right there, and I mean, when you say church hopping, and then you trying to find a church to fit in. See, this is where I disconnect with the building, because
Mhm.
if I'm going in the house of God, right?
Mhm.
It's no house of God that I go to that I shouldn't feel like I fit in. You understand what I'm saying?
That's not what I mean. That's not what I
I
mean.
know what you talk. I know what you're talking about as far as the atmosphere or the vibe or whatever the case may be. But
No, no,
if
no. Where I liked all aspects of the church, where I liked what the pastor was saying. I liked how the choir sang. I liked that they had stuff for the children to do and to occupy them. I meant as far as fitting with my family and how we
I
all
get
could
what
be
you
fed.
I get what you're
Okay.
saying. I'm not in
Okay.
disagreement with you. I get exactly what you're saying. This is for the
Okay.
people. And when we use these terms, right,
Mm-hmm.
about church hopping and finding somewhere to
Yeah.
fit in, I need
Mm-hmm.
everybody to know. I don't care what
Right.
your preference is. If you walk in a place and it's filled with the spirit of God, that the only preference you have when you step in that building is the preference of God. It shouldn't be how good the choir sing. See, because you might miss out. The choir might be horrible, but the pastor might be wonderful. See, the pastor might be wonderful, the choir might be horrible, but or
Right.
what is the focus of stepping in that building? Is the focus
Mm-hmm.
is God. So in the place of God where I feel God's presence, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
Any place
Mm-hmm.
where I feel God's presence, if I'm out in the wilderness, right, amongst the people, and I feel God's presence, I feel comfortable. If I step in a church house and I feel God's presence, I'm comfortable. Regardless if the choir is great, if the pastor is great, if the deacons can't pray, I don't know. But whatever the case may be, if I feel God's presence, when I step
Yes.
between the doors, it has nothing to do before I even hear the choir, before I even hear the pastor. If I walk in the church house and I don't feel God's presence, I'll probably turn around and just walk out.
Mm.
You understand what I'm
Well, see,
saying?
that's the part that I guess I'm tied to the research where it says I'm looking for some traditions. Like I'm looking for maybe like a hybrid. I don't know, but I'm always comfortable in church. That's not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm looking to be fed spiritually. I want my children to be fed spiritually as well.
Oh yeah.
So I need both of that. I need that to match like a puzzle. And that's where we will plant our religious roots, is where we both can be fed spiritually, get the word that is consistent with our beliefs
Mm-hmm.
that I've been taught, my traditional religious beliefs and practices. I wanted to be in sync with that.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. And it's hard when you're trying to find a church home. To me, it's hard.
Oh yeah. It's most definitely. I
A
mean,
church building, because I like the building aspect. I like the fellowship. I like the people. I like the whole idea of going to church.
mm-hmm.
I always have. I'm a
Oh yeah.
social butterfly, so that's just how I am. I like social settings.
Yeah. That's I
That's a
mean,
whole nother topic.
I love the social settings, man. I love to be around people. You
Hmm.
know, I love all of that. You know, it's just to me, I know everybody don't like to talk about two subjects. You know what I'm saying? And that's religion and politics.
Politics. Yep, that's right. They
And
don't.
I just feel like if we can do more talking about um, religion, you know what I'm saying, and not talking about it, but actually acting upon it towards each other. You know what I'm saying? And acting accordingly to each other. The politics will be easy to talk about because we'll know that all of our hearts are in the right place and we are all seeking for the betterment of the people, right? And I think that's what the whole aura and the whole aspect of God. I think we have one purpose here on in life. You know what I mean? I guess it's my upbringing and how I was brought up in the church or whatever. But I've come to find out that we have one obligation here in this life that God requires us to do, and that's to take care of each other. Take
Seriously
care of each
said.
other. If we,
Let's take care of the millennials. Let me get to them for a little bit before we bring our guests on and get to them. Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you? Were
no,
you
I'm
done?
good.
Did you
Go
have?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. We rocking with it.
Okay. All right. Okay. I want to be a
We
very
got an
gracious,
hour.
respectful. Okay. Sorry about the papers.
I ain't
So
gonna take
the
another day. And go ahead.
I just start preaching here. Okay. Sorry about that. So the millennials are Generation Y, and they're born from 1991 to 1995. Have to recap so everybody remembers what generation we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And this came from pewforum.org. Is there? I didn't particularly like his research either, but it was really hard to find and collaborate and gather what I wanted. So there's bits and pieces, but I will read to you what they found.
All right.
Again, I think it's a little biased. I don't think they interviewed or, talked to anyone of color
All
in
right.
these. So here we go. They say that Generation Y are less religious than other older Americans. I don't disagree with that. 1/4 of Generation Y are unaffiliated with any particular faith. So there, 1/4 of them are disconnected, and there is no affiliation, no attachment, faith-wise, to any church or any religion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they are significantly more unaffiliated than Generation X. But remember, we talked about we have this loyalty to faith, but they are less unaffiliated than we are. They have less faith in, I'm sorry, not less faith, less loyalty, let's say that, than we do in religion. Generation Y is clearly more accepting of homosexuality, more comfortable with involvement in politics by churches and houses of worship.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Let me read it again.
Nah, you don't need to read that again.
Oh, okay. So they're comfortable with the involvement in politics by churches. So they're okay with religious leaders being involved with politics.
I really just think, I mean, in our generations, I mean, if you look at Dr. King and that whole the baby boomers, I mean, that whole movement right there, Dr. King was Reverend. We forget to say Reverend Dr. M.L.
Correct.
King. You know what I'm saying? He was a pastor. You know what I'm saying? Before he was a doctor. So I mean, I think he got all of that at the same time. Doctoral degrees from Morehouse, University, whatever. But Dr. King was probably one of the most religious and coincide political figures that we've ever seen as black people. So, I don't think we've ever had a problem. I don't think we as a culture have ever had a problem with mixing religion and politics, because I think in the black church that it's one and the same. You know what I mean? That's just like Barack's pastor. I can't even think of his name right now. Barack Obama's pastor in Chicago. Y'all think of his name, but Barack had to denounce his pastor because his pastor said something about white people in the congregation, and people act like this. They act like they were so shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like, but being raised in the black church, you've heard some things in the church house, politically based. From your pastor, your deacon, somebody in the church then said something political. You know what I'm saying? Because this is where black people start to get those voter right movements going. It started in the church. You know what I'm saying? That was our meeting place. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't go outside and burn crosses and shit and meet outside. We met inside of the church. And that's
We
how
were
we
able to
got.
reach people, like the pastors were able to reach a multitude of
Exactly.
people
He was
in
our
the church.
leader. He was our
Yeah,
leader. Yeah. And in
yeah.
the old black community, the pastor was regarded as the leader. We didn't need a senator. We didn't need a congressman. We didn't need a president or anything back in them days when the pastor, because you got to think, you didn't even have the right to vote as a slave. So you still was praising God. You know what I mean? So when you had to form those councils, the only place that you could form those councils were at the church house. You didn't have no other meeting place. You know what I'm saying? Besides out there in the field. That's it. So I mean, that's how we were
Well, I
able
think
to form what we have now. I think it all started. The first meeting place I think we had, as a congregation was in the church. Regardless if it was under the sycamore tree, as my grandparents would tell me, they used to have church under the sycamore tree, right? So wherever it was at, that was the congregation. Basically, yeah, that's deeply rooted in politics. The black congregation, the black church congregation, is deeply rooted in politics for sure.
and that's kind of contradictory of what it said, because I think maybe what they're trying to say is that, especially in Dr. King's case, that you kind of forget that he was a minister.
Right.
You talk about Dr. King, but he was a minister as well. And as you said, that was our pipeline to politics. That's how we found out about stuff. But maybe that generation is not aware of what has taken place prior to. And that's why they're more accepting and more comfortable with the involvement of politics by churches because
Mm-hmm.
either they don't know or they weren't taught. I
Right.
mean, that's what I mean. Like as far as the research is concerned, like
Mm-hmm.
these people were not maybe aware of, especially in the Black community, that that's how we got information. That was our, newspaper. That's how we got information,
Right.
was through the church. That's
Mm-hmm.
how you spread the
Right.
word of mouth.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was.
That's how we knew
Um,
everything in the Black community through the church.
oh yeah. Yeah, it's exactly. You found out about everybody's family and what was going on in the city and in the
Mm-hmm.
house and outside the house and at school and everything else.
And
Everybody congregated at church on
right.
Sundays. And
You
you went
had
to church
black
most of the
businesses.
day.
I mean, we can't forget about the economical structure that the black church helped with developing small black businesses. You know what I mean? Like that's how you knew Leroy had a grocery store. Well, y'all know Leroy's over there. He got a grocery store, and we need to go over there this evening and buy all our grocery from Leroy's grocery. That's what the black church used to say. You know what I mean? Flat out. They didn't tell you to go to Walmart or nothing like that. Go to Leroy's. But you know, now everything is like you say is so watered down.
It is very watered down. It found that 1/3 of Generation Y attend worship services,
Mm-hmm.
and less than half of them say that they pray daily.
Hmm.
Now, I would say those numbers are higher for Generation X. I would.
Yeah.
I would say probably half attend worship services and probably 75% probably pray daily,
Yeah.
especially now. I mean, all of these affirmations and gratitude and positive vibes and just being in touch with your higher being, whatever that is. There's
Mm-hmm.
some type of prayer or meditation that is encouraged now,
Yeah.
especially with us. Like life is hard. You got to find some way to get strength and
Mm-hmm.
courage to persevere through all the stuff that life, brings at you.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, because mental health is a huge issue right now, right? Do you think that the lack of God has an effect on the mental health issues of our society today?
Difficult question. And I instinctively want to say no.
Okay.
And let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because I'm going to be vulnerable here, but myself and a friend of mine who have religious foundations, have gone to church all of our lives as children and adults, have raised our kids in the church, have both suffered from mental illness, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
I was diagnosed with major depression back in 2017 through 19. I was going through a really rough time with my divorce back in California, some other life events that were happening simultaneously. And I was trying to pray. I was trying to get through it, but I couldn't. There was a different feeling. It was a depression that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And even my religion couldn't get me out of it.
Hmm.
And at the same time, a friend of mine, you can go through a mental illness. She has bipolar disorder.
Mm.
That is something that you can't control by religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having, a major illness. It is a major illness. It's like having cancer or diabetes or hypertension, something you just can't control, no matter how much faith you have.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say no.
Okay.
But I think that if you have some type of way that you can meditate, that just can kind of ease whatever you're going through, that can somewhat help. But some of it's just diagnosed and you can't control it. It's like any other health disease.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be taken seriously because people go through stuff, and especially in the Black community, and it's frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
If you say help, if you say you're depressed, if you say you're thinking about killing yourself, if you say these kids are driving you crazy, somebody come save one of them before I kill one of them. I mean, they're like, if you don't just go pray in the corner and call it a day, you can't brush under the rug like that. I'm praying and I'm reaching out for help, and people
Mm-hmm.
ignore the help that they reach out for.
Right.
You can't ignore that anymore. You have to take people seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You really do.
Yeah.
So mental health is another topic that we should kind of get into maybe after the series is over.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a good segue.
Yeah. It just something popped in my head, and I was like, well, let me ask because I mean, I know back in the day when,
You can't just pray away a mental illness. You can't just pray it away.
yeah, some people, I remember as a kid, you know what I'm saying, and I guess I get vulnerable in the church right now, but it said I watched where what kids that were acting bad, right, and they were just mischievous or whatever you want to call them, where
Hmm.
you had pastors and stuff back in the day, and the church was like we're gonna pray this demon out of you, you know what I'm saying, and a lot of times. It was like it what I don't think it was a demon inside of these young people. I just think that, like you say, it was frowned upon in the black community to say that it was that we could possibly have mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? Like it was frowned upon. You couldn't tell nobody about suicidal thoughts or anything like that. And you even today you have to be careful if you do have thoughts like that of who you tell that to, because people will throw that shit back up in your face. You know what I'm
They
saying?
do, and
So
that's the problem. They will
right,
tease you about it and make you feel uncomfortable where you don't want to reach out for help. You
right,
don't want to say anything. Whereas if I told you I had diabetes, you'd be like, "Oh, okay. Oh, you'd be so willing to help." Or I
right.
have high blood pressure. Let me help you. Let's change your diet. Let's do this. Let's get an action plan. People are willing to help you if you say that you have that, and it's the same caliber. It is the same level that requires attention, medication, therapy, whatever you need to help get through that and address it
Right.
and deal with it. You can't just pray diabetes away. Yeah, you should have faith that the Lord will heal your body, but healing your body could be that you taking that medication that's required. Or you
Mm-hmm.
stepping away from the donuts and all
Right.
that sugar, whatever is causing this. I mean, you know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
got to be, you got to have discipline as well as your faith. It has to be a combination of things. It can't just be pray it away.
Mm-hmm.
We have our guest.
Hey, look here, y'all. I switched the screen back for a reason, and cause I want to do this properly. Hey, man, our sister was able to join in with us today, man. If y'all don't know who it is, y'all about to, for sure find out who it is. You know what I mean? This is our sister Tamica Bass
Hey,
has
you
joined us
guys.
this morning.
Morning, sis. How are you?
Hey, I had to hurry up on here. Here's my appearance.
Happy
Already.
Friday to you. How are you this morning?
I am wonderful. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate your time. So, we're talking about religion this morning. We wanted to get your input on how religion played a part in your upbringing as a child, how you view it now, and if you teach your children about religion. I know it's a few questions.
So this is a very good question for me. So my mom used to wake us up like 4 o'clock in the morning to give reverence to God. I was raised in a, religion household, but how I feel on it, knowing the ins and out of religion, I don't really get too caught up in the religion. I really strongly, like I have kids, have your own beliefs in God, because religion can be very judgmental, very strict. And I feel like you're not ordered to be yourself, but everybody's different. I mean, religion do give you some type of structure and stuff like that, but me, I feel like you have to have a higher belief of believing in God. I mean, I don't think people should get too caught up in religion.
Now, religion, do you mean like the structure religion of like a denomination? Is that what you're talking about? Like Baptist or Catholic or Protestant or Jewish?
Baptist, I mean, I Baptist, Pentecostal,
Mhm.
Christian. I mean, it still have some restrictions of like, I mean, religion can, to me, it brings out like it's judgmental, the religion part.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel.
But you're saying that you still have faith, you believe in a higher power, you just don't conform to a particular religious belief, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you're
Absolutely.
with which
Even to
generation?
me being in the church. Huh?
You with which generation? We forgot to ask you that. I'm sorry.
I'm an 80s baby.
When were you born?
She's an 80s baby.
1980.
Okay, so you're Generation X, just like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're around the cusp.
Yeah.
You're like on the border of X and Y. Okay, so that's good. Okay,
right.
good to
So
know.
that's how I feel. I mean, go for it, go to church. and stuff like that. I just feel like people shouldn't get caught up in the religion part, but you should get caught up in your beliefs and stuff like that, because that's what builds character, foundation, and making you grounded.
Okay.
Religion, you know, religion. I'm not a religion person, and I grew up religious, and that's a very reason why I'm not religious.
Right. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, I think that goes back to what I was saying about the rituals. You know what I'm saying? The ritual in religion, you know what I'm saying? It gets it all twisted up, and you actually forget about why you at church, because you really come from for the lessons of God. You know what I mean? You don't really go there for. I, I mean, I can't speak for everybody. Me, I could care less if the choir sounded like Mahalia Jackson, the Five Heartbeats, and the Temptations. You heard me? I could care less. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the aura of the church. Like if the pastor got a Cadillac, at least I should see 40 Cadillacs out there in the parking lot. You heard what I'm saying? Like if the pastor light bill is on, everybody in the church house light bill should be paid. You understand what I'm saying? Those are the things that I look for. You know, not to say I know everybody's personal issue when I walk in there, but you can kind of tell when you look at a congregation and you got half of the church looking one way and the other half sitting on their high horse, and you know what I'm saying? Like Tamika say, it becomes judgmental. You know what I mean? Well, look at such and such. Look at her hat. Why she wear that dress? Like it. Nah. If you worried about Sister Johnson's hat or her dress, in my eyes, if I'm serving God, before I talk about Sister Johnson, I'm gonna try to go buy Brother Johnson or Sister Johnson a hat or dress or something so they can look like I want them to look. You know what I'm saying? Because my grandma say, if you are not ready to fix it, don't talk about it.
Can I say something? So you're talking about religious, like, and that's another thing. People gotta find and realize that this is a business. And if you're gonna go to any form of church, any religion, take your word, jot down your notes, and leave it as that. Because see, people really get construed with religion and fall on an individual, and an individual could be the devil.
There you go.
So so that's why I am not caught up in religion.
Mm-hmm.
And people they forget the religion of the whole purpose and start following people, following the Jones,
Right.
this and that, and that's religion can really have you really twisted,
Yeah.
for sure. By
Mm-hmm.
identifying having a belief and religion. Belief is totally different from a religion,
Mm-hmm.
and faith
Correct.
and
Mm-hmm.
an understanding,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's where people get it twisted.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I agree with
Definitely.
that.
I do.
I definitely agree with that.
I do.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. We appreciate your time today.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So what
welcome.
IT? Where's our next guest? At I hate to call him IT on the thing. Like Mika, you gonna hang out
Okay.
with us for a few minutes?
He's right here. He was trying to log into Discord, but for some reason he said he couldn't get
His
on. So
Discord ain't
I'm going to
working.
have him sit right next to me, and we're going to talk to him for
Yeah.
a little bit.
Come
He's Generation Z, you guys.
introduce this
Generation.
brother.
All right, I love
This
you
is one of my.
guys.
Hey, this is my nephew, man. Y'all better introduce my nephew the right way.
Oh, well, we want to say bye to Mimi. Thank you so much
Bye,
for
you guys. I
joining
love you
us.
guys.
We
Have a
appreciate you.
wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend, and be safe.
All right.
Thank you. You too.
We'll catch up with you in a minute.
Bye.
All right.
All right, sis.
Our next guest is my son. He's 14 years old. He's a part of the Generation Z. And so he agreed reluctantly to come on to the show and give us a little insight of how they think and how they view religion. And I'll go through some notes that I took about Generation Z and how they view religion. There's quite a bit that I researched about them. So come on in, sit down, and let's talk to you for a little bit. Give him a big hand. Welcome him to the show.
Come on in, nephew. What's good with you, bro?
Hello, what's good? What's good? What's good?
I
Good
can't call
morning.
it.
Good morning. How are you? Move your legs. I can sit down. Move. Scoot over. Okay. We're gonna have to share the spotlight today. Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, hello.
Boy, say it with your
Like,
chest. Say it with your
I'm
chest.
I'm IT. As you might already know, and Generation Z. So Our thoughts on religion, I guess, is how we're taught about it. Like, my parents, my mom, we've been taught since I don't even remember, going to church, singing the choir and all that. But yeah. So like going to church,
Let me ask you a question. Okay, so what were you
Yeah.
taught about religion? What were you taught that you could remember about religion?
Taught to love the Lord, to pray, before you eat, before you go to bed, pray for other people, and just we read the Bible, scriptures. I read the Bible since I was like, I don't even know, like when I was 7,
7 or 8.
7
He
or
had a
8.
children's Bible that he read from the beginning to the end. I made him read the Bible so he can understand from a child's perspective. What else? Anything else you can remember?
Um,
Well, IT, let me let
um,
me let me ask you a question, man. Right? Let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? You know how Unc gonna come at you, right? All right, you in the ninth grade, right? You in high school, right? Okay.
right.
So I know when I was in the ninth grade, like, do you like you say you pray over your food, right? So when you're in the cafeteria at school and you sitting around all of your friends, your homeboys, the little girl that you like that's sitting across the way, all of that. So you telling me that I'm asking you, do you still pray? I mean, bow your head and not the short one, Jesus wept. Do you really sit there and pray over your food in front of your friends out loud?
Um, Not necessarily, because usually like at lunch when I get my food, I just like we're walking around talking, and I'm like talking and eating, so like I'm not really like think. I'm talking to them, but I'm not really like thinking about it necessarily, like in the situation. But if I'm
Mm-hmm.
by myself, then yeah, like
Okay.
if they're not there.
You play sports. I know you do. See, this nephew, he athletic too. He being shy, y'all, but he athletic too. So let me ask you: before you go out there and you kick that soccer ball, do you go over there to the side and say a small prayer for God? In both teams. I mean, a small prayer for yourself to God, for you yourself and both team and your teammates.
Actually, but in every game we all huddle up. When we all get on the field when we pray. Actually,
Do you pray
and
separately?
separately, no, not separately, because I know in the game that we all pray, but no, I don't pray separately by myself.
So you saying when you get ready to kick the ball, Lord, please let it go in.
I do hope it goes in.
Well, what happens before every game? What do I do before your game? Every day, what do I send you?
Oh, my mom always send an inspirational message or some type of quote,
Scripture.
scripture to get my mind ready and get my mind in the game and be prepared for it.
Does it
And
make you
call.
does it make you focus when you read that message from your mom? I know you love your mom to pieces, right? So when you see that inspiration from your mom, does that inspire you to do great things?
Oh, yeah, it does. It gives me like motivation and to do my best, try my hardest, play my hardest, and yeah.
Okay. You are nervous. He's ready to go. I already
No,
know.
no, no.
Are you okay?
You good, IT? You good? You making your debut, son? You good?
Let me read some of the statistics I got about Generation Z,
All
and I'll
right.
ask if it feels the same way.
All right.
Okay, so it says with religious services taking place online, as all of us know with this pandemic, we've been online. It might seem like a moment for digital natives like Generation Z to step into the stream of faith, but new data shows that it's less likely for them to tune into virtual worship. They're not going to really tune into virtual worship, even though they have the phone at their fingertips all the time. They're also less likely to pray.
Mm.
27%. Oh, that's you. Less likely to pray.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. A lot of Generation Z lack religious affiliation. There's no religious identity that they can say, I'm Baptist, I'm Catholic, I'm Protestant, I'm Methodist. They don't have any identity with religion.
Mm.
They are becoming differently religious. Like they're finding religion in other ways. So it's not necessarily connected to a church. What do you
Yeah.
think about that? You
I
feel that you're less likely? Have you been tuned into a virtual worship before?
Mhm.
No. Okay. It says that 44% of teens attend services identical to their parents. That means that they go to church just like their parents go to church or with them.
I
He
would
goes to
think
church with
I would think 100%. You know, because you don't have a car. You know what I mean. You're not
Well,
driving,
I think
huh?
it's more so the impression of how they go to church
Mm-hmm.
is similar to how often their parents go to church. Like they're mirroring the behaviors of their parents and
Right.
how they attend
Right.
because they've instilled it in them.
Right.
As you know, he may not go every Sunday because we don't go every Sunday, but he'll go to church.
Yeah.
I do believe because I've given him that foundation. And he may stray away from it temporarily, but I do believe he'll come back to it. And we're
Mm-hmm.
going to get back in church as soon as things kind of open up comfortably and safely. We'll do it. As I was
Mm-hmm.
saying before, we were looking for a church home. Generation Z look for social structures to express community, shared values that create meaning. So they want a community structure of social issues within the church. It sounds like a religious experience to me, but they call it social structures and community shared values.
Hmm.
Those are the words they use. Like we all feel that we should talk about this. We should address this social issue. That's what we did in the church. We addressed social issues
Mm-hmm.
in the church.
Yeah.
Religious institutions that rushed to get online during the pandemic, thinking if we broadcast or stream the services, all would be well. But it actually had a different approach, had a different reaction. People felt disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't actually increase social action or interaction or religious service attendance. People in the Generation Z, they got disconnected. Even
Hmm.
though they have the phone at their fingertips all the time, they're not connected. Do you feel like that?
Like not connected.
Mm-hmm.
Go to church, everything's online.
Because mostly everything is like social media. You got, as I know, everybody in this generation has a social media platform some type. So they necessarily wouldn't be thinking about like, oh, I'm about to go to church or I'm about to like pray or anything like that. So that's I think on it.
So you think they are disconnected.
Yeah, I think they're
Okay. I
Okay.
Hey, that's they. Hey, you get it. Hey, listen. You know what they say? They say you got sometimes you got to get it from the horse's mouth. You feel what I'm saying? So that's a representation of his generation, and he know what they doing better than what we do. We hope that they using social media for all of the godly purposes that it could be intended for, but that might not be the case all the time. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to be up to the religious leaders to find a way to connect with them. It's got to be more than just streaming your online service. You've got to get in the community and find a way to connect with them.
Oh yeah.
Because if they're that disconnected, I mean, we had that connection to church, we had that upbringing, we had the foundation. Excuse me, they're missing that. So now you have to find a way in this digital media society to get in touch with these young people. I mean, that's gonna be a hard task
But
to get these
I
people.
feel like this. I feel like just like every generation has some type of spiritual leader, right? Because we've been blessed to have, regardless of how people want to feel about this man or not, but we've been blessed to have Farrakhan around for years, right? Way before TD Jakes, way before Creflo Dollar, Farrakhan was there. Regardless of what his views were when he was a young man, I respect Farrakhan in his elder age because he learned better. You know what I mean? But we had the TD Jakes, we had the Creflo Dollars, we've had, you know, the EL Odoms, the EL ED Montgomerys of my life. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm just saying that they're gonna have in that generation, somebody's gonna figure out how to tap in from a social media standpoint and give them some truth and give them some knowledge and some true understanding of God, religion, the Bible, and all of that. It's coming. I mean, that's a very
Yeah.
intelligent generation, I think.
And they're going to challenge, as we said before, everything. You can't just say something without doing your due diligence,
Right.
doing your research, making sure what you're saying is true and correct. Because people will come at you They will clap back, as the young people say. They're going to want to debate and make sure that what you're saying is true. But
Right.
let
And
me
then
let's
they gonna ask you, no cap. No cap, right? No cap. Right? That ain't that what y'all say, IT, no cap?
yes, they say no cap.
Yes, yes.
Meaning I'm not the cap. No
Oh
cap.
Lord,
It's
no cap. Well, I ain't got no cap on IT. I'm trying to tell you the straight truth, brother. No cap. Yeah, so hey man, like I say, I think I'm looking at this thing. I think, yeah, we didn't hit that 1 hour mark. So, I'm
right.
definitely gonna try to leave us with something real quick, not too long.
Okay.
Uh, for those of us who like our Bible and you want to read your Bible and you're not just gonna say that the Bible did something to you, it might be the
Right.
perpetrators of who read the Bible to you and how they tried to interpret the Bible to hold us down in slavery. That's what you might have a problem with. Just like I told one of my brothers the other day, I have no problem with cotton, right? Cotton didn't enslave my people. You know what I'm saying? It's the oppressors who made us pick the cotton is who I'm upset with. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is. A whole nother stuff. I'm gonna read this, man, so we can have a good note before we leave out of here, man. And this is universal. It doesn't matter, what your faith is or what your religious is or whatever your religion practices are. This is something basic that I think we should all do. And if you get a chance, you can read the book of Leviticus, right? It's at the beginning of the Bible. It's not hard to find, right? It's right there. Uh, it's interesting that this passage of scripture is on page 144 in my Bible, so I'm kind of happy about this.
Okay. We know you like 44.
You better know it. Uh, Leviticus 19 and 18. I'm gonna read just one verse, and I don't think I'm gonna have to get too deep in this. It
Okay.
said, "Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord." I'm gonna read just that's all I'm gonna read. I ain't gonna get no deeper than that as far as reading is concerned, but I know what it's telling me. It's telling me to love my neighbor as I love myself, treat
Mm-hmm.
others the way that I would want to be treated. And one thing I would like to say to every generation is Pastor Rayford Davis out of Missouri City, Texas, and rest in peace, Pastor Davis. I really do miss you. Um, he told us something every Sunday. He said, "We are not responsible for how people treat us, but we are responsible for how we treat people." All right.
That's right. That's right.
So,
That's
man,
a word,
hey,
Pastor Ali. That's a word right there.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I might say that for one of these old Sundays. You know what I mean? But I got to let this young man get back to his work.
It's gaming work. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Hey, dude. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for coming by, man, today and chilling with us on this religious segment. And as we talk about the battle of the generations and religion, you know what I mean? I think this was a great, great, great show. We had our special guest, Miss Tamica Bass, came through, and we still got my nephew here with me, IT. Hey, I love y'all. Hey, I appreciate you coming by, young brother, and giving your views on religion today. That really mean a lot to me and your mom, believe it or not. All right. So you keep us inspired, young brother. You feel me? So appreciate that. Mo, anything you want to get in there? Hey, some shout outs, let people follow you, do all your stuff, what you need to do, baby girl.
Yes, I am eat.ya.greens on Instagram and TikTok, so please follow me there. We appreciate all of you for tuning in today. I will leave you with this: each one teach one. However you want to take it, whatever knowledge you have, you can pass it on to someone else. You can bring someone along for the ride, inspire them, motivate them, encourage them, whatever that means to you. But if each one teaches one, we can help each other and help
Right.
our brothers and sisters of the world. So thank you guys. Enjoy your Friday. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been a great show, and I'm pleased to do it. And I thank you as well. Enjoy your Friday, people.
All right. Hey, check this out, folks. Don't y'all forget, man, my sister Tamica Bass, she came through today. Y'all can find her at Mimi the Goddess on Instagram and on TikTok. Don't y'all forget to go check out my sister's art gallery at Mimi Reflections. All right. Don't y'all forget that. Hey, don't y'all forget also to always keep in mind and check out my sister, our baby sister, that is the Real Angel K at the Real Angel K. And if you go on TikTok, that's the Real Angel K with two Y's and not one. All right. And when,
Right.
all right. So, hey, with that being said, hey, man, y'all have a wonderful Friday. Y'all be safe this weekend. I know the country is opening back up, and I know things are starting to open up, but just be mindful about those around you. And if you have to still mask up, I would advise you to, if that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Do whatever you need to do, man, to be safe and take care of each other. All right. Hey, I love y'all. Don't y'all forget to follow us at 44millionent.com. Check out our new website. Check out the highlights. Hey, don't y'all forget also tomorrow at 4:44 p.m. we will have episode 2 of The Basement, and I will be sitting down and interviewing with my brother AJ Lee. All right, of AJ Quantum Beats and Audio Box Studios, and I know my nephew will like this. That's the home of the baby. So nephew, you might want to check out this interview tomorrow. All right. So
We
y'all
gonna
be
let our
good out there. I love y'all, man. Hey, thank y'all for joining in another great episode of Talking Tea with Ali. And
girl, Monique.
all right,
We
man. Y'all be
out.
good. I love y'all.
Bye.